Christmas na. I hope that everything will be good of everybody, and I am very happy that bumababa na talaga, dumadive na yung that's a miracle, because other countries are still reeling from the effect. Parang nagkaroon sila ng problema sa Omicron. So tayo, we are not hoping for the best, but we pray to God that it will not come to our shores. But if regretting na we can cope up with it just as we did with COVID-19. Better days ahead, because since December 1, have been on average of 500 to 600, and the number of active cases continue to go down. I'm talking about the COVID. Sa Davao nga, was last week, there's only one. Very impressive. We continue to see downward trend of the positivity rate. Now only less than 2%. This means that for every 100 persons tested for COVID-19, only a maximum of 2 people turn out to be positive.
The OCTA research team says the Omicron variant is twice as transmissible as the Delta variant. Meanwhile, the country logs its lowest COVID-19 case numbers in 20 months. President Duterte defends the government's decision to resume limited face-to-face classes in Metro Manila. An expert says cases of infidelity have increased during the pandemic. And Miss Universe Philippines Beatrice Luigi Gomez shares a candid moment with Miss Armenia during a photo shoot in Israel ahead of Coronation Night. Focused and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Charles Lejano. The highly mutated Omicron variant has been detected in more countries, but there's still not a single case recorded here in the Philippines. Experts are also divided as to how transmissible this new variant is. Jen Calimon with the details.
From South Africa to Australia, the Omicron variant has spread to at least 47 countries in about a week. The emergence of the new variant has forced several countries to tighten border restrictions, triggering fresh concerns about the health of the global economy. In Asia, Thailand reported its first case of Omicron from a foreigner from Spain. South Korea, meanwhile, has already detected 12 cases of the new variant. Over in South America, Brazil just had its index case, prompting authorities to cancel New Year's Eve celebration in Rio de Janeiro. Several other countries in the region closed its borders due to the Omicron variant. The Philippines so far has been spared from the new variant. The Health Department, however, is already monitoring over 250 travelers from South Africa that entered the country from November 15 to 29. Among these travelers, 165 are still ongoing verification, while 8 have yet to be located. Samples from 1 COVID-positive traveler and 11 returning overseas Filipinos are now undergoing genome sequencing. The OCTA research group warns that the Omicron variant is twice more transmissible than the Delta variant.
During its Delta surge and Alpha and Beta surge, the reproduction number was much lower. In fact, for what we think is the Delta surge, the reproduction number was just around 2. So ibig sabihin that what that means is it's about twice as infectious at least. Pero yung reproduction number na 4 na yan, hindi yan yung in its natural state kasi with certain restrictions na yan eh.
But for the DOH, it's still early to say that the Omicron is more transmissible. They said other factors must be considered to assess transmissibility. Still, the DOH has appealed to LGUs to intensify their testing capacity to easily track patients once the Omicron enters the country.
We cannot 100% control prevent the entry of these variants. Ang ginagawa natin, we buy time when we prepare our system at gumawa tayo ng mga ganitong efforts. Sa ngayon, stricter border controls, biosurveillance, yung ating community response. This buys us time.
Reporting for News 5, Jen Calimon, We Are One News.
OCTA research fellow Father Nick Austriaco said the Philippines is now experiencing its lowest case numbers in 20 months. Austriaco, a molecular biologist based in the US, says the Philippines is now averaging 500 cases per day. That is a far cry from the 120,000 new cases recorded in the US on Monday. Austriaco pointed out that we are also seeing the lowest hospitalization rates in 20 months, with several hospitals reporting zero admission for new COVID cases since last week.
But this is also interesting because we are experiencing the highest mobility in 20 months. So this is a graph from Apple Mobility, and the higher the curves, the more people are moving around. And what you can see, this is the mobility trends from the NCR. What you can see is that many of our people are moving around now the most in 20 months since the beginning of the pandemic and the lockdown in March of 2020.
And as a result of these better numbers, the Philippines jumped 46 spots in the recent Nikkei COVID Recovery Index. From 103rd place, we are now at 57th. Meanwhile, European countries ranked low as they continue to bear the brunt of the latest Omicron wave. In other news, several schools in Metro Manila will have finally resumed in-person classes as of yesterday. That's after nearly 2 years of closure due to the threat of COVID-19. Mon Gualvez with the story.
28 schools in Metro Manila welcomed over 2,000 students today after nearly 2 years of distance learning. This includes Tunasa National High School in Muntinlupa, which imposed stringent health protocols like body temperature checking, hand washing, and social distancing. Students should also have their own QR codes, which will serve as their ID and attendance. The school also provided each student with their own COVID-19 kit.
May sarili silang kit para hindi sila magkakahawakan, no? Na hiram-hiram, bawal yun. And then, mayroon tayong coding system para walang crowding.
Only 40 vaccinated senior high school students were allowed to stay for only 4.5 hours inside the campus.
Every after class, the school makes sure to disinfect the area for the safety of everybody, in which the classroom should be vacant from 30 minutes until 1 hour.
Even though students were excited, some say that they are still adjusting to the in-person setup.
Hindi na po ako marunong masyadong mag-approach sa personal po. Ang tagal ko po lang sa bahay.
Some still believe that the face-to-face setup is much better than online classes.
Siyempre po natututukan sila ng kanilang mga advisor kaysa po sa mga module at saka sa kanilang mga online.
Meanwhile, in Senator Renato Cayetano Science and Technology High School in Taguig, a shuttle service is allotted for their students. In Payatas B Elementary School Annex in Quezon City, students need to undergo antigen testing before entering the school. The DepEd NCR said that they are looking into adding more schools to the pilot run, but blended and hybrid learning will still remain. DepEd said they will ensure that health protocols are in place and strictly observed during the span of the pilot study. For News 5, Mon Gualvez, We Are One News.
President Duterte defended the government's decision to limit the pilot run of in-person classes to NCR. In his latest speech, the president said that they don't want to overwhelm the public as they start to allow the resumption of face-to-face classes.
Do not be dismayed kung hindi sa inyo muna because these are all experimental and pilot projects. Doon muna titignan natin kasi nandoon lahat yung resources ng government and yung mga official nandoon at makita kaagad that they can keep posted on what is happening.
As the pandemic drags on, another statistic that is going up is the infidelity rate. Sex educator Doc Rica Cruz says couples locked down together typically get on each other's nerves more frequently. And as a result, they seek escapism by starting affairs with people that they meet online. And Cruz also said that the low rate of satisfaction among Filipinos when it comes to sex can be traced back to insufficient sex education. And she said most Filipinos rely on pornographic materials for their sex ed.
The thinking that pornography is real, yun yung nakakapag-ruin sa sex lives nating lahat. Because a lot of us, actually, a lot of Filipinos get their sex education from pornography. Eh yun na nga, hindi siya totoo, di ba? Yung 2 oras, ba? Kaya mo 2 oras. Madaming expectations talaga na hindi naman talaga dapat.
Miss Universe candidates had a blast while riding ATVs for a photo shoot and desert tour in Eilat, Israel. Our very own Miss Philippines, Bea Gomez, even shared this candid moment with Miss Armenia, Nane Aviticia. The behind-the-scenes video was posted by the official Miss Universe Twitter page with a caption, "Always ready for a photo op." Miss Armenia also posted a photo of herself and Bea, describing the Filipina beauty as her quote, partner in crime, who is nice, caring, and real. Meanwhile, actress and selection committee member Marian Rivera has left the country last night for Israel, and that is 6 days ahead of the 70th Miss Universe competition. 2 days before Marian's flight, her husband, actor Ding Dong Dantes, wrote a sweet message for her on Instagram. Quoting the band Hot Dog, Ding Dong wrote, "Ikaw ang Miss Universe ng buhay ko." Here are the stories to watch out for later today. A group of Ilocanos are set to file another disqualification case against presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos. They will be assisted by constitutionalist and former COMELEC chairman Christian Monsod, together with lawyers from the Ateneo Human Rights Center. The November 2021 inflation report is set to be released by this morning. And the preliminary results of the October 2021 labor force survey will also be discussed. And we'll give you the latest on the second day of resumption of limited face-to-face classes in Metro Manila. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again later at 9 a.m. as we monitor the day's biggest stories from sunrise to sundown. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We're One News.